All right, so I'm talking about Jared Mooney. He claimed that social networks, mainly Facebook, have a significant negative effect on student behavior. Now, his claims are that social networks are damaging people's images of themselves, social networks distract from school, and social networking fails to build social relationships. All right, so social networks are damaging people's images of themselves. He mainly talks about cyberbullying, and he didn't really define what that is, and it was a little murky. So I got a definition from the CDC, the Center for Disease Control, it's the United States government. Examples of electronic aggression include disclosing someone else's personal information in a public area in order to cause embarrassment, posting rumors or lies about someone, distributing embarrassing pictures of someone by posting them in a public area, assuming another person's identity to post or send messages about others with the intent of causing the other person harm, sending mean, embarrassing, threatening text messages, instant messages, or emails. So he then quotes this guy named Derek Baird. Derek Baird gives some kind of professional testimony onto how damaging it is to young people. The problem is, Derek Baird is a media consultant with absolutely no credentials, or really, he has no business offering testimony on mental health. His company works for Facebook. So I am a little suspect into his evaluations. However, the Pew Internet Research Center, which is an online think tank that monitors all kinds of internet-related stuff, says that 79% of teen witnesses of cyberbullying report confronting the bully, and that 84% of teens that are bullied defend themselves. So kids are fighting back. It's not nearly as overdramatic as this Derek Baird person says. He also mentions, through Derek Baird, that comparisons happen and that it's negative. Comparisons happen in every aspect of life. The grass is always greener has been an old saying for who knows how long. Comparisons just happen. It's not fair, but it's life. Speaking of comparisons, his second claim is that social networks distract from school. And he quotes Leif Denti with Sweden's largest Facebook study. Most of his evidence, except this, is all referencing America, and I'm kind of inferring that he's specifically talking about Americans in this instance. And so I don't know why he randomly brings up Sweden's largest Facebook study. It doesn't apply. Back to the Pew Research Center, 43% of Facebook users are American, and around, coincidentally, 43% of all Americans have a Facebook. So I think that data on Americans in Facebook is a lot more relevant than how the Swedish respond to Facebook. Now, the Pew Research Center studies that they don't focus on the length of time that people spend on Facebook as much as they focus on what types of activities people engage in. And I'll get to that in the third point. He was trying to argue that women spend more time than men on Facebook, and that's true, but I don't know why that's relevant. So, anyways, he also brings up a study. He quotes, where is it? He quotes the Daily Mail and saying that Facebook negatively impacts students' grades. They have a 20% drop in their grades. I looked around and there have been a handful of studies on this, but there's no consensus really. Each study comes up with a different answer as to whether or not Facebook affects grades. So I don't think that that can really be supported. The University of Chicago duplicated the study and had different results. There have been like 4, and everyone has had different results. Television, radio were distractions when they came out. Society evolved. Society will evolve along with social networking. Social networks will add to enhance the educational experience. That's my counterpoint. I really think that. Teachthought.com shows that teachers are already brainstorming ways to use social media. Now, social networking fails to build social relationships, and he quotes Giovanna Barg in an infographic that says 40% more socialize online than face-to-face. I don't really think 40% is quite that alarming. I mean, we all socialize in different ways over the phone or different things like that, so I'm not really concerned about 40%. Pew Internet says that statistically you will get as much feedback as you give on social networking sites. So it's even. If you talk to 5 people are going to talk to you back. 5 different people, obviously. And then the Barg infographic shows that more people on the planet own mobile devices than own toothbrushes. Right, I know. Awkward. So society will adapt. They will adapt as it did to the telephone. It's going to adapt new ways for social networking. And social networking is redefining relationships. We're not communicating the same way we used to, so we have to evolve. Newser.com showed this story about a 13-year-old girl who drives 700 miles to meet her online boyfriend. She was 13. I'm like, wow. First off, she's a very capable 13-year-old. She can drive 700 miles when she's 13. How do you pay for gas when you're 13? But we're her parents. Parents didn't evolve with the social media. We have to evolve. And we're going to. That's our history. Thanks.
All right, I think you do a nice job explaining issues and trying to come to grips with them and sometimes minimize them simply by pointing out some problems in the assumptions that the advocates presented. I thought that you did a good job talking about the issue of cyberbullying, for instance, and the notion that the kids stand up for themselves and that they fight back, and so that there is the idea that this is automatically something that can't be handled is problematic. I'm not sure that your challenge on Baird helps you that much. If his company works for Facebook, that seems like it would be reluctant testimony that the advocate's presenting and would actually enhance the credibility. So that it just seems like that wasn't a useful line of argument on that one. I thought the other part was more effective. On the issue of distraction, I think that you did a pretty good job summarizing the issues of distraction. The challenge on whether or not the Swedish study applies, I don't know how important the differences were. I don't remember what the Swedish study found, and I don't remember how significant it was. Your best argument on this is that other studies have found different and conflicting results. I think you ought to cite some of those studies. You mentioned a University of Chicago study. You said it got different results, but I don't know if the different results were that it had a greater influence or a lesser influence. I think that's one of the things that's a little problematic there. And then on the last point, I think you have a good general philosophical statement on issues like all technology, that ultimately there's often fear of them and having negative effects, but ultimately we evolve and adapt to them. I think that's a reasonable argument to be making there. I think you could use some illustrations. I mean, you mentioned TV and radio on that point, but there are probably additional evidence on those points that you can use to show those results. And the idea that it's being used to produce beneficial effects, I think that's a good idea. Take that from the second point up above.